So thanks everyone for coming, and this is intended to be interactive. So expect a lot of participation. There will be many of you who are artists and who have views on art. So would love to hear your thoughts definitely as part of what this event is meant to be. Um, so to start off, I thought we'll make it interactive straight off the bat, and if I can request Aditi to take note of the comments which are coming in. But the first interactive element is on the title itself. There are many words here, even though it's a small title. So creativity is one part, and creativity of one powered by the many. So wanted to get your reactions, right? So what does creativity mean to you? If you can just share your thoughts on what is creativity. The context of this question also is that given AI and given the number of things it can do, it becomes important to understand in this context of what AI can do, what remains as human creativity. So we'll start with what is creativity and what it is for you. So I told you it will be interactive. So yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Creativity is original and unprecedented.
Creativity, absolutely original and unprecedented. We'll talk about that in terms of painting, in terms of poetry, in terms of story writing, and how inspiration, is a starting point for much of creative work, and hence what is original. You're absolutely right, original, but hence what is original. We'll talk about that a little more. Anybody else? Yeah.
Making meaningful connections.
Making meaningful connections and producing something, correct? Or making meaningful connections and producing new thinking, or making meaningful connections and providing new avenues. uh, yeah, so wonderful, thank you very much. Who else? Yeah, all the way. Thinking out of the box, or some people will say burn the box. Yeah, thinking out of the box. So box, the definition of the box has to be carefully thought through, because if you're in the corporate world, the box is defined by the corporate, and you sometimes get stuck in certain jargon and certain ways of thinking. So for the corporate to move forward, thinking out of the box is required, but that's also true of art in general. So creativity spans all fields, so it's not limited to art. So we'll talk about corporate as well. So thinking out of the box or burning the box. You had a point.
Anything is done already doesn't have a fixed answer format shape.
So something which didn't previously have a form, shape. Wonderful. Yeah. So that could be in the design world, for example, a creative design for a phone, or creative design for something getting used, or something which doesn't have any use but attracts attention. Yeah. I think we are taking notes. Yeah. Yeah, looking at what everybody else sees, but looking at it differently, and finding things which nobody else can see, right? That's because you're bringing your right brain to the activity, and hence your perspective will never be the same as anybody else's, as long as you are open to um, being in front of the object or whatever that you're seeing in completeness, at the present, mindful, and with your right. Breaking the established rules, absolutely. So sacred cows make the best burgers. Wrong audience for that statement, but there is a book by that name. Don't take it literally. Sacred cows make the best burgers. Absolutely, breaking the rules. Sometimes it's told rules are for the mediocre people, right? Yeah, combining brain and heart. Absolutely. So the heart may be captured by the right side by some people of the brain itself, but the way you use your way you are describing heart is bringing emotion into the data-oriented nature of who we are. Absolutely. Yeah. A good, very good question. See, innovation, which many of us are used to from the corporate world, or an invention which has to be patented, absolutely needs to show value. But creativity's value might be different than the value which we look at in the invention and innovation world, right? So that value might just be that somebody stopped and looked, somebody's emotions were opened up, somebody thinks differently. That's also value. If you agree to that, absolutely. Yeah, value is a part of creativity. Yeah, so the world has to be formed from elements, and you might be able to think about something very useful or creative or something which will shake people up, but the individual components need not be complex. Absolutely. So let me go back to this and now ask the second question. Does the term creativity of one make any meaning for you? What is meant by creativity of one? You as an individual, what does it mean? Can creativity be a group effort? Absolutely. Creativity can be a group effort. Ideas, can they be group efforts? Yeah. So I'll just share a personal view that bright idea, brilliant idea typically emerges from an individual, right? And creative thought also emerges from the individual. However, creativity in the terms of producing value, that requires it to be strengthened, and it has to be multi-threaded, and in order for it to survive the infant mortality, by the time it does have multiple inputs. Here the context is slightly different. Powered by the many, what does that mean? So we were talking about original um, thinking, right? So when we say powered by many, is it still original? It is. So what would powered by many be? So it requires many people to make something as complex as a car. How about a painting? Sorry, who was that? Yeah, so there are many artists, and we look at many artworks, and that gets synthesized within our brains, and it gets channelized. So that's the powered by the many. So now I will straight away make a statement about AI in creativity, that powered by the many part of it, AI brings to you more easily, right? So let's hold on to that thought. Your own thinking, your own right brain, your ability to see things differently, see things originally, feel for it, that is not going to go away. The ability to even figure out which artwork might be of meaning to somebody will not go away, right? However, if you want to understand the artwork of last 200 years, it's going to be very difficult for most of us unless we spend enough time studying art, right? So that's where we have an ability to use AI because it has already digested all that which is out there, and hence it can bring it to you, to your fingertips, right? So we'll see how does it work as well. But let's step back first and look at creativity in few definitions. Here's one definition. So creativity, when we talk about it being original, it is original, but it can be exploratory in a space. That space is not original. You can explore within that space. So what does that mean? So the folk artists of Orissa, let's say Pattachitra, they are each one original. Now they do have creativity. However, they are doing exploratory work in that space. So if you look at these two paintings here, one is Vaikuntham and one is Gaud, and they are contemporaries, 6 years apart from a standpoint of when they were born. Do you see a similarity between their two pieces of work in this case? Yes. Yeah. So they definitely have a common theme of painting the um, forehead yellow or of a different color, and bindi there, and a bigger bindi in case of Vaikuntham, darker faces in case of Vaikuntham, and both are from Telangana, and they seem to have evolved original art because both are highly regarded. So there is no question that their artwork is original. They're both highly regarded, but they have evolved separately and developed similar styles. So they are, in a manner, exploring, maybe combining a little bit, bringing in some folk art, bringing in some learning that they had. And this is the antecedent to that is that their teacher, one of the teacher who influenced them quite a bit, was Subramaniam. and he is called Mani in Bhubaneswar, where he taught for some time. He learned in Shanti Niketan and taught there also for some time. This is his painting. So you can see that even Mani, his style, it is original. At the same time, you see some Picasso, the double eye, and if you see other paintings, you see much more Picasso. So there is a significant amount of both exploration and combination in his artwork, and this is something which was passed on to his disciples. He was a very influential teacher, so many of his disciples have very openly referenced him as being the inspiration. So if we are not aware of this, we might say that copying or not original and so on and so forth. But that is where the question is, if AI now is going to learn from Picasso or learn from Vermeer and combine Picasso and Vermeer into totally different forms of painting, is that original or not? That's a question. Is that original? If I prompt AI saying that combine Vermeer, whose style is entirely different, and Picasso, and also give it a picture, a photograph of somebody I know, and say convert this photograph into a painting which combines the style of Picasso and style of Vermeer. Is it original? Is it copyright issues? Is it an issue of AI? Is it something that needs regulation? Yes,
think on one hand, it's a very subjective question.
it is.
But on the other hand, I think one needs to think about what is the difference between creativity and inspiration, right? Because inspiration, again, is a very, not a very technical or subjective. So there could be elements of that inspiration in the final output. And whether the final output is original enough and creative enough is a very subjective question.
Yeah. No, I think this is a good way to think. At the same time, regulators have to grapple with this, right? So, Japan, for example, just like you said, they said that if the output is not close to any artwork, then there is no copyright issue. The input doesn't matter as long as it was not stolen, right? If it is stolen, it's not a copyright issue; it is some other issue. So, from an IP standpoint, they're looking at saying that, okay, you are producing an output. Is that output looking close to somebody else's work? Then you have violated copyright. If you have, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
No, so it just amazing. A lot of the artists' work is lived experiences, right?
Yeah.
Come through like a lot of evolving over the 20, 30 years or something. So they make a final output and then merge two together and coming out with something as an image released by AI. That seems a little bit shortcut-ish.
No, no, absolutely. And that is not the way you should produce AI art also. So, what you should do is you should bring your own lived experience. Let's say you saw somebody sitting on the corner of the road and, happy, even though in tattered clothes, and it caught your attention and you feel for the person. That feeling, you have taken a picture. You can go and paint that picture, right? But you want inspiration. You can say, can I take this picture, input it, and now I want it in the style of somebody, right? And it can be style of a painter, it can be style of a photographer. So have you brought your lived experience into the thing? Yes. Have you learned from somebody else's work? Yes. Have you combined two or three things? Yes. Now, even then it will be only meaningful if you take that output and actually use your brushstroke to make it real. So each stage is still question as to whether it is a copy original, but it will resolve those questions will resolve. But my point is that when you use your brush strokes, obviously it is original. And people today, I've seen great artists in Bangalore use reference pictures of a chair, let's say, and paint it as part of their larger painting. So if they can do that, can I not do that in this manner also? Which is, I'm mixing two styles and still using a picture which I have taken and reiterating. I didn't like the first iteration. So then I bring in another artist, or I delete one artist, or whatever it is, and I say add color, use the color palette of Vaikuntham, right? So those are all things that you're making a choice. Yeah, and the answers will not be clear today, but these are the right questions at this point of time. I think there's Rahul, you made it.
Can you help clarify a baseline?
Yeah.
That if I use an AI tool, terms of service are very different from legal copyright necessarily. So in many of them, they say I own the output because I meaning the AI owner, created it with your prompt. So can you help clarify that baseline?
Yeah, you as in the person who prompted, or you as in the owner of the tool.
Yeah, two different people. So
Yeah.
if a lot of social media, for example, literally owns all the posts that I put. Not that I use social media much, but Facebook, if you're on it, they own that post. You have no copyright over that post.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can see the copyright law is very clear. Once you produce it, whether you register the copyright or not, it is copyrighted to you. So, if you chose to post it somewhere, the ownership, distribution, those kinds of rights can be given away. But nobody.
If you use Facebook, it says your use of this product means we own the copyright.
Yeah, you can assign the copy. You're assigning your copyright to them. You will always be the copyright generator. So from an IP standpoint, so we'll discuss the nuances. So even from a patent standpoint, if I'm an inventor, I always remain the inventor. Nobody can take that away from me. Although the ownership of that invention can rest with anybody who I assign it to, or I work for, or get it reassigned. So,
But using the tool is what AI is a tool.
AI is a tool.
Using the tool, I am obligated to hand over the copyright. Is the question?
No. Let's do one thing. I'll go to one of the tools where we'll begin the exercise itself. I would encourage everyone to look at these tools. If you can download it right now on your uh, phones, it works very well. This is called Midjourney. It doesn't require paid membership, but you'll have limited number of tokens, as they call it. But I would encourage all of you to download it right now if you can and use it as well. But in any of these AI generated artworks, you cannot claim a copyright. They cannot claim a copyright either. But the right to use this artwork belongs solely to me. But once I put it out there, I cannot claim a copyright. So that is the nature of this work. Let me show you a few examples of how this works. So I've created a spotlight of a few of the examples of art which can create, which will give you different ways of creating it with and without your own input, prompts, and so on. But any of these artwork, I'm free to use anywhere as a owner, as a person who has created it. However, I cannot claim copyright on this. It's a disputed topic. And if I same thing, Rahul, we were talking about music as well. I can sell my music. Nobody else can sell the music which I produce. The lyrics are mine. That is copyrighted and it belongs to me. The music itself cannot be copyrighted, but the work product can be sold, and it can be sold by me. It can be reused. So there are various nuances that I think if you I don't think you're a lawyer, so I know that. So if you're a lawyer, you'll be maybe going into the nuances. But let's look at these. So this one is very simple. I created it for an album of music which I created. The lyrics were mine. The music was created by Suno AI, and I'll show you that. And I have released this in Spotify, and I mean, theoretically, I make money by the number of views on that music. So from that standpoint, I'm the person who is making commercial use of it. If you have a paid version of Suno, you do not have to declare that this music has come from Suno. If you do not have a paid version of Suno, you cannot commercialize. So those are the license matters. Now, given that I have a paid version, I do not have to tell it's from Suno, but I do. And despite that, the music and the song, it belongs to me. The commercial rights for the song are mine. And with the grand release of one of the albums, I got $0.03 after a month of thing. So there is not much. Let's not think that we are going to make a great living out of this, but it is a possibility. Okay, let's look at some examples here. So this is what you see is the simple prompt. Darvish is the swirl of a Sufi. So Darvish, a Sufi swirl. This was for the album Kabila, which I'll play a couple of songs for you, just a pieces of it. And it you need an album cover for to release it. It has to be of a certain quality. It has to be of a certain resolution for it to work. Let me just see if I can just scroll. So here is another example of image which I also made it into a small video, right, in the same tool. Just take the prompt for the image and then you ask for a video. So this is about a song which particularly is about alcohol. So it's about sake. So then you just prompt it for that and you get it. Now here's one more of the same nature. In this song, the singer is saying, Saki is the bartender. So he's saying, give me the bartender. I don't want the alcohol. And you can see why, right? Rahul, I think you get it. Yeah. Yeah. So here's one where I input. In this case, let's see if it will show. Okay. In this case, the input is still only the prompt. But the color at some point I've inputted during the iterations the colors of my company, Myelin Foundry, and that's a spiral. It's a myelin. It's a spiral, and it's the colors which are showing in the eye. So I've given it the Myelin Foundry logo and asked it to create an image, personify Myelin Foundry and the colors of AI. I'll pause a little bit later. Here's an example, like I said, where this is a photograph which I took of a grasshopper, right? So now your lived experience. So we were eating lunch, so I remember clearly, and one of my colleagues is dead scared of anything that moves other than humans. He saw the grasshopper and he jumped out of his skin. I saw it and said, okay, let me take a picture, right? So that is the input. A dragon and girl is the prompt, as simple as that. Okay, so as simple as that, the image is the input and dragon and girl is a prompt, and you get this output. um, and you can do various things, but as soon as you start giving your inputs images, it becomes better because it's taking from the real life example of what you're sharing. This is an example of there are four of us who eat lunch together, and the input image I gave was even more simpler. It's really a scribble. Yeah. So with that scribble as an input, and it says a caricature of two Indian girls driving a truck and running over two boys, because that's how we feel having lunch. Two girls and we are two guys, and so this is how the caricature came out to be. Um, the tool and examples I'm showing are simple, but it can get very very interesting. So here's an example again of the same two colleagues, and I've asked it to produce painting, but I've also in this case given an example of the style which I want. So this is Gustav Klimt. He's one of my favorite artists. So now I'll just pause here for a second, but I'll just pause here for a second. I really think this is a beautiful image, right? Whether you leave it as it is, you take it and paint it. It has got an input image, which my colleagues agreed that I could share that it is their input image. But I think this is a beautiful work of art. Now, you can be an abstract artist, you will not like this at all. And you can be a very mature artist who says, okay, this is just representation and so on. But for me, it is something that I like. Okay, I'll pause there just to get reactions. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So when you find this like a work of art.
This is, I didn't call it a work of art. I think this can inspire your own painting also. But this, at this stage of development, it is still an input to you, but it is original. This painting, these people, these faces, these colors do not exist in any other painting in the world. So, do you call it a work of art?
That's what I meant to say. Because the prompt that you gave
Yeah.
and the prompt that I gave, although we have the similar identity,
Yeah.
both of us want a similar kind of picture, but our individuality or our creativity is also, I think,
Absolutely.
transferred to the prompt.
Absolutely.
So if you have another artist who's painting from his imagination or from his vision, and you have the one that you have from your prompt, I think at the end of the day, it can be called creativity because there's a lot of human touch that is gone to it in different ways.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll evolve towards that point. Right now, there is still a lot of debate. But to answer your question objectively, also, if you're looking for originality, there's original. This painting doesn't exist. I'll show you the picture which went in. It doesn't look like this at all. This is the picture. It doesn't look like this at all, right?
So where do you draw the boundary? Like where do you say that this is not like the input I gave you, this is completely original? I think that becomes very objective.
And you know, these AI models are trained, unfortunately, for some people, because they want to just modify a little bit, and there are other models for that. But this will not reproduce what you give.
Because a lot of time people will be like, I gave you the prompt, why aren't you giving me what I want?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that is something which is called hallucination in some cases. But really, hallucination is by design. Hallucination is where creativity comes. You should enjoy the hallucination as a creative person, right? So, if you want to retrieve data exactly as it is, this is not the tool. AI is actually not the tool. Use a database. Yeah, yeah. Hallucinations are great. If anybody says, "Oh, hallucinations," say it's great for a creative person. It's great. I do not want exact answers. AI is not the tool to use for exact answers.
If I was to answer this to categorize between art, creativity, and corporate creativity, I think corporates go with more logical that this is what exactly I want because there could be considerations around shape, size, position of what you really want to build. From that perspective, how do you think AI has advanced so far?
Yeah. So there is art and there is craft, and if you want exactly something, it is like craft, right? So if you look at people who work with me for design, I give them complete flexibility, right? And at the same time, I'll pick. But if they're working with somebody else, they want exactly something, right? So then you getting more and more close to craft. Can AI do craft? Absolutely, it can. But is it the best use of AI? No. You can still use it to say, give me a bottle filled with a dark liquid, and thing, and then modify it and things like that. So you can use it, but it's not the best use. There are other ways to get to that, based on databases and based on retrieval of objects, and there are mature tools for that. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, it is beautiful, but is it art? I'm not
Yeah,
saying it isn't. I'm not even saying it isn't.
Yeah.
I'm asking, is it art? It's beautiful.
What do you think? I mean, what is your gut reaction?
I don't know, my gut reaction, I would say if it is something like Ghibli art, right, which is within the copyright law, and they have not authorized it, and that is being used by AI, right, or bastardized basically, right? That I would, now if it is in the free domain, let's say it's Shakespeare's work or Van Gogh's work, it's a difficult one, but my gut reaction, my emotional reaction is without the feeling, without the process, without the pain or the passion or the love behind it. My gut reaction is it isn't art, but it's an emotional reaction because I don't know if it's the right answer. It's an emotional reaction.
We'll hold on to that. Somebody else has.
I just had a question. If you didn't know that this still feel that. Sorry, could you read it louder?
If you didn't know that it's an AI output, would you still feel that?
Maybe it's frequency.
But that is the
Of
test.
course, it's conditioning.
I mean, that is the blind test.
Yeah.
One more thing here. Can I trace back to the original lyrics based on this one?
that will you
Yeah. So explainability of AI is a study right now, which I know that it's going to be very difficult. But if you have this image and nothing else, can you go back to the original image? Absolutely not. There is no way. Absolutely no way. Right?
there is a art, it is a new creative.
So when you put artist names,
Hmm.
is it credited?
When I put here, no, this is one of the images I gave is Klimt. But Klimt never painted anything like this, never painted Indian ladies. Yeah. Even the style, it is in that direction. Right? I can add one more picture of somebody else's style. So, yeah.
You can have multiple people credited to the art, right? Like this has been taken by from this guy.
Style. Yes, you I think ideally you should. And what also happens is if you look at this, there is somebody's signature. It looks like G Katragada, but it's not. Right? So it just knows that in paintings there are some signatures. So it's put something which looks like a signature. So if you are an artist, you will paint over it, right? And you'll still create something new. You might not be satisfied with that. So hence you might keep it to the side and use it as an inspiration to create something from that. I mean, if this is better than what you have created, that will be a tragedy. So you better be better than the AI output.
No, but
Yeah.
not credited. Huh? What I make from Midjourney, whether I take artist styles, like whether it be the Picasso or Van Gogh or anybody, I don't have to credit it.
You don't have to credit. Let me go back here. Uh, no, I didn't mean to come here. I meant to go back here. Now, whose work have they credited? They have not credited anybody's work. Neither have they credited each other's work, nor have they credited their. They've said, "My guru is my inspiration." Right? We can always say that my paintings are inspired by Klimt X and Y and Z, and you should. I think your inspiration should be stated. But for this work, if these are the inputs, also can be given. I think if you're open, it is better. I think in the age of AI, it's better if you're looking at. But if you take this as an input and create your own painting, will you still credit? So those are all questions that we have to answer because even though it's been 3 years since I started using these. What am I saying? Okay.
Just a question.
Yeah.
In addition to the credit card, if I am mixing two images from famous painters and then bringing it, creating one and saying this is my style, can I take copyrights of that style?
You cannot use AI and take copyright. You will not get copyright. It is your work to sell, but you cannot take copyright. Copyright it depends on if you can prove your creative input in Europe, which is to say that you have sufficient creative input in your prompt, in your other images which you've added. Then Rahul is right. Then you can take a copyright. So you have to. You will get a copyright for that.
Yeah, of course. So that those paintings would also have mixture of my creativity, own ideas as well.
If anything, even this, even the simplest prompt that you give, it's your prompt. Nobody else has given that prompt. For example, this painting doesn't exist, right? And the prompt is also very simple. A group of Indian classical dancer, cubist art. It doesn't exist. It's a very simple prompt. There is no other input, right? And but still, it will require some iteration to get here. You don't have to take this painting. It's easy enough now to use this and paint your own. I will guarantee you, most of the artists, when they do that, will not say that they drew inspiration from an artwork which was produced by AI. Right? Most of them. But it will be great if they do that. I've used inputs but painted on my own or whatever. Like mixed media. Right? Mixed media is a photograph and you paint and do. Now people say it's mixed media. So it's photograph plus acrylic plus whatever.
Is it safe to say, like, if we're strictly talking about paintings or art in that manner, it's divided into three parts maybe, right? Like in the traditional sense, there is creativity where you're thinking about, okay, I want to paint this scenery in this form, in this color. Then there is the imagination where you're actually synthesizing that yourself in your brain. And then there is this physical skill where you're combining your creativity, your imagination, and actually putting it out. Okay, I'm going to put a stroke this way.
Yeah.
mix these colors and do this. Now with AI, we our creative mind is only active where we know what we want to combine. But the imagination part is being done by the AI, and the execution part is also being done with the AI. And that's where the gray area lies, because the ability to think creatively, then imagine it, and then synthesize it down on a canvas or paper was very limited to the people who had the ability to do it. But not anymore.
No, yeah.
Here and have a computer just execute it for you. But you did not have the imagination in your head as to, okay, the lines will be this way. In this section of the painting, this is the color palette I'm going to use, or X, Y.
No, actually, you can. So the better paintings will be those where you actually create a rough drawing and you actually instruct it further to say that all the skirts should be in this color, all the tops should be in one of these colors, and the faces should be dark brown instead of pale. Those are all prompts that you can give. So those will be the better painting. That those will be the better inputs. So there is this can be what you're saying is absolutely right. The imagination came from previous works, even though cubist artwork usually won't have Indian dancers. The imagination came from previous works, but you're not limited by that. You start with your own sketch. I've shown you an example. I've done more. I just keeping it simple, but you can start with your own sketch and then get it filled out with colors of Vermeer or whoever your favorite artist is. You can think about from 500 years ago and bring that painting to life, right? So your the imagination can be yours also to the extent that you want. One more behind you, I think, or yeah, or in front. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Um, I don't paint. Like, I don't use my creativity and express it in the form of painting. I do take pictures, and all I can think about right now is if I take a picture, take a photograph that I've made, and give it context and give it some styles of paintings that I like, or give it some artists that I like, and I can get an output like this or something similar.
Oh yeah.
And then it just makes, I don't know where is that coming from, but it makes me feel unfair that people have practiced and learned and spent so many hours, doing this, learning this.
So how do other people feel about yeah? Yeah, go ahead, Rahul, and then we'll come here.
There's a book called Re-Engineering Humanity. And a quick question by Brett Fisher. What does it mean to be human? And I think that's what you're getting at, because a machine can do certain things possibly better than I can, except maybe one or two masters will beat the machine. But at what point is that not human?
So here, yeah.
I think one of the words used in the last few decades is democratization of various things when the internet was born. So if you think about it, what has happened over the last few decades, so many things have gotten democratized where previously you had access to certain specific facilities, whether they were libraries, schools, whatever, only then you could do it. But now anybody.
No, great point. Yeah.
So those people who were so-called experts felt that all their value or whatever that expertise is of no use anymore. But I think that's the human journey since the beginning.
So to your I think that's a very good point also, because when we were a colony and Europe was flourishing in art, it's because there were people who could afford art and they were patronizing the artists who were allowed to produce this art in a liberal fashion, doing nothing but art. So it might be unfair that they had the paints that right now we have an AI tool. They had the paints, and they had the richer paints, and they had the canvas, and they had the landscapes where they could sit and paint. So life is unfair each time in different way. Sorry, I don't know. Okay, here we'll.
There will be always different emotional reactions to anything.
as long as, like you said earlier, the attribution is strictly attributed, whether it's an AI or it's a human generated image or human crafted painting, as long as that is there, people should be in a position to make their own decisions. Somebody is emotionally
Yeah, absolutely.
creative
Yeah,
version, they will always go there. But as you said, this is creating a new platform for a lot of other original processes to also appear.
yeah,
People are not very good artists because they're not, but they are creative minded. This tool allows them to express themselves.
absolutely. And it brings, like somebody said, it democratizes the expression of imagination. And so maybe it is fair in that sense, right? So we'll have to redefine. But this is the point where I want to bring up this, which is this artist created what is called abstract art. I'm still stuck in the old age where I like representative art, where art means this or that which I can see. But this kind of art is very popular, and these kind of paintings sell for much higher than any painting of any individual portrait or anything like that, right? So this was transformational. So we talked about combinatorial, exploratory. This is transformation. AI cannot today extrapolate very well. It can interpolate, it cannot extrapolate. So it can produce within the items that it has seen, but it cannot go outside of the items it has seen very well. It can do maybe by accident or by prompt, which may be an error. I have not seen it. But by science, AI cannot do extrapolation very well because you're training it, and you're training it with certain amount of data. That data can be huge amounts of data also, but it cannot extrapolate. So if somebody went from, like this artist went from seeing art which was representative, it might be a hill or it might be a cow or it might be a individual, it might be a lady or a guy, whatever anatomy, whatever it might be. But from there to go here, that person was thinking very differently. And even though I might not appreciate it, this is transformational, and AI will not be able to do transformational creativity at this point. Any comments on that from anybody?
I guess I just wanted to make a comment from our previous conversation and this one that it's a matter of choice. We have its evolution, we have evolved from slates to copies to computers. It's a matter of choice. Do I still want to use slate or do I actually want to switch to computers? So similarly, abstract art. From one art form to another, abstract art form, and as you said, you don't like it, but it's sold in mass.
Yeah.
It's a matter of choice.
Do you like it? I'll get a special price. I'll get a discount of $1 million for it.
I would love to put it on the plane more because it make me happy every morning with the colors.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Some of, even if you look at the like somebody like a Picasso, he's a great graphic artist. He can draw you, for example, pixel to pixel accurately. And there are works of his when in his young age, which he did that. But later he developed a style where a minimum number of lines represented you, right? And so that was the way he evolved. So it's not that he couldn't paint exact representative art, he just that he evolved into a great artist with minimum lines conveying the story. Somebody had a hand raised. Yeah.
I mean, the issue I have here is, I mean, look, if you're judging it like you would a human, right? It's fair. Okay? Is the gut feel I have? Perhaps others would differ. And when people are democratizing it, and you're giving them prompts like, create art like Picasso, that's problematic. Because that's democratizing feeling. I mean, like we just said, Picasso is a lifetime developing
Yeah.
a new vocabulary of producing art. And then all you're doing is you're telling the system, copy that thing and give me a different slightly different expression. Something that you want to produce. If an artist, if an art student were taught that way, we wouldn't be an artist.
Mm.
You can't even do that. Nobody could call that good art. Human were to like, I'm just going to copy class with an art with like, you're never going to see them.
No, completely agree with you. And I would put it this way that if be it in technical world, technology world, or be it in art, if you have not learned the basics, you will not be able to produce art even using AI. because everybody can produce saying create like Picasso. That will not be considered great art, right? But in order to be a great artist, then you have to bring yourself into the art much more. And Picasso is just an element input into the art, just like it was even in the past, because you were inspired by Picasso. So even if you are a technology person, if you do not understand how to code and you use AI to produce code, you will not succeed, because you will not know where to go and what to do and how to use and how to tweak, because it will never produce at this point and for the next 5 years something so complete that you don't need knowledge of coding. You need to be a very good coder to get the best advantage of AI. You need to be a great artist to produce great art using AI. So that will remain. Your advantage as an artist is what will propel you further. But if you do not use, it's like using a slide rule versus using computer. There were people, my dad is here, his colleague was a PhD, refused to use a computer. He wanted to use slide rule. Wow, a PhD guy. So obviously he was outdated very quickly. So use it as a tool to the best you can.
We don't have to put humanity at a pedestal so high that we cannot look at ways of creating our work in future and possibly in a different model. Before we were using musical studios to create music. We're not saying that hey we are we are against the musical studio, but today we are using AI as a tool to possibly go to newer heights of music. All the same, we really need to go beyond this thinking of holding sanctity in one model. That's what I think. Yeah.
See, that's a very tough one that you put up. Uh, so, human and human feeling as the basis for creativity.
Yeah.
I think if you remove that definition, then there is no definition left of creativity.
Right.
Right? So, it's a tough one, but it's something we have to grapple with.
What is emotion? How would you define emotion then?
How would you define emotion?
I have a very interesting definition, but it may sound revolutionary and possibly controversial.
We are okay with revolutions.
Yeah. So the way I see emotions today, and I study it as possibly somebody who's enthusiastic about scientific discovery. Uh, Richard Sutton, the scientist today, he talks about AI coming into a generation of experience and learning from it. So when we look at human journey through evolution, right, and we look at how human beings have developed emotions at a neurological standpoint. So when you look at emotions, look at animals, what type of emotions do they have? And we have evolved state of emotions. At the end of the day, they are all biochemical markers. They are data to our
So
own
that is
system.
Yuval Harari's position also.
That's absolutely. So that is our own data to our own system, and we operate in the world with this beautiful data.
So
set
sorry,
that we have.
what's your name?
I'm Parveen. I actually.
Parveen. Yes, we interacted on LinkedIn.
Yes. So I work in AI regulation, but these are all the thoughts that I want to bring together today. So we also operate, it's the same data, but it's in a biochemical format within all of us. We also operate emotions as data inside us. And we have developed those emotions as data, as improved data over evolution.
Yeah. So I think there were a few other comments here about lived experiences.
Yeah.
Right? So as humans, we emote to lived experiences.
Right.
So that combination is unique. It's original. It's something that somebody else might relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So the critical thing about creative work product eventually is, will it move somebody else? Right? If it is not moving somebody else, it might be creative, but it is not the kind of art that we are talking about today. Right? So it has to move somebody else. That ability to move somebody else still will be determined by the human emotion, and hence, at this point, the human emotion and feeling is something, if you remove, then we can produce volumes and volumes of creative output because it's original, but it will not move anybody, and we'll talk about it.
Sure.
But since you talked about music and emotion, do you have any emotion right now that you want to?
So absolutely. So I do paint.
Yeah.
I sing. Though I'm not a trained singer, I sing, and I'm a trained Kathak dancer. So I do have emotional responses to artistic experiences in general.
and specific responses connected to my own memories of my loved ones performing or myself performing. I do have emotional experiences, but I'm also of the opinion that these emotional responses can be a learned phenomenon and it can be manifested in a different model in future. So today when I look at A.R. Rahman's music, I do have an emotional response to it. But I do believe that a machine can also have an emotional
Why
response.
do you have a response to A.R. Rahman's music?
Because I have possibly loved all his genre, his whole musical journey, right from when
Is
I
it
followed
the
him as a kid.
region he represents? The folkness, folk aspects of it, classical aspects of it.
It was more about the expertise and the artistic excellence of it.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it since my childhood. So it's a duration of experience, and that experience is learned and loved over and over a period of time, right? And this can also happen in other formats. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely. Let me play an emotion for you.
Yeah.
And the emotion, this particular, all of these are emotions.
Right.
But this emotion is about the country.
Yeah.
Many of us will feel it and question what is my country.
Right.
So that is the nature I'll play this. This has been something I've released an album with that name. So since I told I'll play also, I will. If we can make sure the audio comes. लगता है भैया अभी
He's not.
audio. Sorry, I'll start it.
कभी दिल्ली से आवाज आई, कभी जयपुर, कभी वडोदरा, कभी इंदौर, हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर ने पुकारा, जिजा मेरा कबीला हो वही मेरा देश,
Kabila is right.
वही मेरा देश, जहाँ मेरा कबीला हो वही मेरा देश, जहाँ मेरा कबीला हो वही मेरा देश, जहाँ मेरा कबीला हो वही मेरा देश। देश की पुकार थी तो हम चले रिश्ता निभाने, ये किसी ने क्या सिखाया होगा ना सुनते ही आँखें भर जाने, रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं, आवाज़ अटक जाए जिनके नाम से।
Okay, so if you like lyrics and writing and are unable to do anything further like me, then Suno is a great tool, right? You write the lyrics and you put it and you give it a prompt saying that this is how I want it to sound. And I have done songs even by bringing in singers, bringing in musicians, and it is really painful. And then you don't have a studio, so you record in your bedroom. And you have a understanding spouse, so it's okay. But it is really painful, right? So this is something which is just miraculous. You write it, and within few seconds you get it out. Few seconds, and you can iterate. You have to iterate. You will not like what comes out first. Yeah. Please.
Whose voice is this?
What is
Voice.
voice is also a. The voice doesn't exist just like those faces didn't exist. There is no human who has that voice.
I see. So the voice is artificially generated as well.
It is a complete, everything is artificially generated other than the lyrics. Sorry? Lyrics were mine. Lyrics were mine. Everything is artificial other than for the prompt.
Iteration.
What about the style you will give? See, for example, for the next song. For the next song, you can see the prompt here. Can you see?
Can you read it? Yeah, I can.
It says this is for the next song. It's called Alvida. I'll play that. It says mood, slow, mid-tempo, reflective, modern ghazal, indie ballad, instrumentation suggestion, soft piano, minimal strings, light percussion, delayed guitar. That is the prompt. Do you think I wrote it? Even that is age. Well, I put it into ChatGPT and I said this is the nature of song I want. Create a Suno prompt. It gave me this. Right, so it takes some effort, but it is. Are you laughing at my effort?
What prompt did you give ChatGPT?
ChatGPT I gave. This was for Alvida. I can show you the prompt, but it would be give me a Bollywood style reflective song, something like that, with a male voice, and then it will give the rest. It will also give the rest because it reads the song.
I thought you gave it the song name, the song that you liked, and said, give me all the list.
No. You could do that, but I was a little more honest. Otherwise, you would laugh more.
Sorry, if you permit a supplementary question. Earlier you spoke about the future of AI, 5 years from now, what it can do, what it can't do. And gentlemen over there spoke about democratization. I'm just trying to put these things together. A hypothetical scenario, 5 years from now, I have no expertise whatsoever in anything, maybe art, dance, whatever. I just input some prompt and there is an output and there's somebody else who likes that output. He is willing to pay a price for it. So that's where we are. So
No, today we are there. 5 years
yeah.
are required.
So what now? What is the issue at stake?
The issue is there is a lot of noise. You have to raise above the noise. That raising above the noise will only be because you have felt something according to me. And because you have felt something, you can make somebody else feel that. Right? And that is what will, otherwise it will be a lot of noise. You can get noise. Because you will get a lot of generic sounding songs which will not move anything or anything. Even my .03
No, that's being presumptuous, isn't it? How can you presume that somebody?
You have to be presumptuous. Because you have to have opinions on this. This is cutting edge technology. So each one of us should have opinions. And my opinion
No,
is,
what you say noise may be music for somebody else.
see, okay, let me back up and explain. What I'm saying is that on an overall basis, on an average basis, if you just create AI based output without having much of your input, it will be too generic and it will not be something which will move people. That's my position. And
No,
I've
we are
reached.
talking in future, 5 years now from now, where AI is super sophisticated.
Yeah.
So why should we presume that it will be generic or noise?
Ge-
AI could improve so much 5 or 10 years down the line that it could produce miracles.
What is considered noise also will change.
Correct.
Right? Hence more and more things will be considered noise where the human input is minimal. Right? We can discuss it later. But see, if there is no human input and there is a lot of machine generated output, all of that will be noise because there will be zillions of output of that nature. To raise about that noise, what will change? It is your lived experiences, it is your emotion, it is that one tear you shed when you faced something that you could not stop the tear from coming down. Right? That is what will make it different. If I stood here and gave an AI presentation, this interaction would be very less. Right? Since I've used the tools and I'm talking from the heart, little more interaction. That will remain because anything machine produced, even though it becomes better and better, it will become noise.
Not necessarily. I have lived in China before coming over to Bangalore. From my experiences there, even a hologram or what you call an artificial avatar, AI avatar, can move people, and especially the younger generation, the so-called millennials, Gen Z, and digital natives and all. They seem to be responding much more enthusiastically to holograms.
Because there is tons of human effort which went into the hologram creation, and my organizations have been involved right from the G days to understand what will make people react. Social media, for example, is a precursor to this. They have engineered how to get you trapped into social media. A lot of human effort has gone into figuring out how you think. What is it that will make you addicted? What is it that will make you keep scrolling? That didn't happen accidentally. It happened systematically, and significant amount of effort went into it and still goes in. But I appreciate your input. I do appreciate it.
What if somebody uses his voice? What if somebody uses the same voice and creates another music? Who owns? Who will be?
This voice is owned by nobody.
I see.
Yeah, so this voice will not, unless you take this voice and say recreate it,
Yeah.
it will not get recreated either.
No, I understand that. If it's same voice is recreated in some of the music right now.
It doesn't belong to anybody. This voice doesn't belong to anybody. Voice doesn't belong. Lyrics belongs, the music belongs. But even then, the music cannot be copyrighted. I can sell it because it's come from my prompt. The lyrics are mine. It is copyrighted to me.
So this means
Sorry.
the AI used to replicate theoretically would the original prompt owner would have diminishing returns over a period of time because other people can reuse the same thing.
Yeah. So the AI owner's value and the ability to create money will come from his lived experiences, emotions, and ability to create new songs of that kind. Not the voice. The voice he did not create, and she did not create. So she does not have the right to monetize that. Right?
But thank you.
So I think I just want to add to what that gentleman was saying. It is very interesting, I think, in terms of evolution of AI. What if AI tomorrow, and being in the field, I think it's getting pretty close, but what if AI has a lived experience? Today, AI lives on a computer. That's not going to be the case tomorrow, right? Whether it's through
It's no longer actually what if.
So what if AI has a lived experience
so
and creates a song? Now you can no longer say that it's the human lived experience which is the differentiator between noise and not noise.
Yeah. So we are entering the zone of no return, but I'll still try to answer. And then Rahul, you can.
Just one more quick point. I think a lot of questions are coming from, at the core, from the fear of this.
Yes. So that is the core of defining what is human, like Rahul mentioned. And if you program an emotion, lived experience means what? If AI is going to emote your lived experience, that means you're programming. That means you're taking that biochemical ways of looking at it and having a lived experience. Let me do one thing. Let me come to the last slide. Actually, it will help. Can AI feel, or is it programmed to feel? If it is programmed to feel, is that feeling? Right? That's the question we'll have to answer. So I'll come somewhere here and can AI fear? Yeah, so I don't know exactly where it will come through somewhere, but let me make the point anyway. The point is that if you lived experience and emoting to lived experience means that something is feeling, and something is feeling. Extrapolation is not possible because it's being trained. There is a new experience. There is a new technology which brings a new way to experience life. So how can AI be made to feel is the question. Now we can argue that it can be programmed to feel, but is that programming a feeling? If it can be done, then there is what Ray Kurzweil said, which is a singularity. That singularity means there is a crossover of a definition of a human and a machine. My opinion is that we are nowhere close to that, and there is always going to be the human ahead of the machine. Hence, the human's experience will be ahead of the machine, and hence the human's feelings will be ahead of the machine, and hence the human's reaction to art will be based on that refined feelings, which is not yet conquered by machines. That's my view.
So
And your view is based on what?
My view, just like you should have your view based on your experiences. My view is based on my experience painting, producing music, but mostly I have my master's and PhD both from 1990 to 96, funded by NASA and later by Gas Research Institute in AI. From that time, I have only done AI and nothing else. So it is mostly based on that knowledge. I have programmed AI from the code, so it's based on that. It is still limited. You might have more experience. Happy to listen.
The only difference will be life animation between all that.
Sorry? No, now we are getting into what is life. Right? So, but good point. Yeah.
So I think this generation will always want a differentiation between what is human, or what we think of as human, and it'll take a generation before people only knew synthetic or blending and whatever. Simple example, my nephew, I showed a video of one of the world's best stunt cyclists. Spent a whole life doing amazing stuff on a BMX. Now, when he saw it, he's like, yeah, it's just fake. So I'm sure you could generate stuff that looks more impressive than the human capability, but we will have a differentiation. And my analogy for that is very simply, will you buy a flawless synthetic diamond at the same price as a micro-flawed natural diamond?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The value of a natural diamond is in the flaw, the color, and its provenance, right? If it was in Akbar's throne or something, Rahul, you'll pay an arm and a leg. If it is in my chair,
I would like to bring a subjective perspective to this. Currently, we all enjoy animated movies. Up is one of our favorite movies, all of us. Human emotions being put on, but we are enjoying something completely animated with no human actually on this.
but
Exactly. So machine learning is not yet there, AI is not yet there, wherein AI itself is feeling. I don't know how machines are gonna feel in future because it's the whole it doesn't work, right? Ultimately, you are putting emotions of human and training AI to understand those emotions and then give the output accordingly.
see, animation is a very yeah. Yeah, animation is, see, I can take any action right now and animate it just by taking live video, live action animation, it's called. And animation can be done by drawing painfully for one frame, which is 24 frames per second, just a small movement, right? Per second movement, I have to draw one by one. But what am I doing? I'm just using my effort to reproduce human emotion which can be shown on a screen. That is not putting emotion into anything. That is using my skill to show emotion to a large audience, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Another adding to the democratization.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand, see, like, if you are talking about music, if you're talking about art, these are some ways of expression, communication, language, and a prompt is basically English.
Or Hindi. Yeah, yeah, it's not like today you can give prompts. Yeah.
To me, it does not feel as much as it is democratization rather than utilization of multiple different languages in different mediums into just one particular verbal or written communication. You know, like whenever you see something, you have a cerebral response to something, you have an emotional response to something. Sometimes it comes through as words, sometimes it comes through as sculpture or painting or something related to tactile. That does not reflect. So that to me is creativity, how you process it and how it comes through, whether it is through your words, through music, through sculpture, through painting, the texture, whatever it is. So if you're talking about creativity and AI, then I feel that the gap is still there. It's not.
So if
It feels more like it is homogenized, taking from previous artists, being completely creative by
yeah, see, the world is gray and there is no black and white. There is no black creativity and white non creativity even today, even without AI. It's always been the case. So if you use a MIDI player to create music, or if you use a electric piano and not the real chamber piano, are we diminishing creativity? But
saying that response where I absorb something and process it and then I make it into something. That response, I don't see it happening with this. If I just click a picture of something and ask it to reference some other artist, and it doesn't explore that response.
No, it does. I'll tell you why. The song you heard, it took me iterations of probably 1,000 times. Yeah. So maybe the lady behind also has a question. You can give her the mic. Okay. Okay. So the iteration is where you're listening and saying, okay, this is not working, or this part is not working, or really I'm giving up on this style and going. So that exploration is still there. If that is your worry, it is still there. You didn't get to this output by just giving a prompt. It doesn't work like that. It'll give you garbage, right? Garbage in the sense of noise, what I was calling noise. It'll give you noise. You make it lift it above noise using your exploration. So I did you have a question behind? Yeah. If we can get a oh there okay, mic is here.
Am I audible? Yeah. So based on the conversation about democratization, homogenization, if we sort of transcend this, is this Genesis AI or human based? Where does taste it fit into this? Because a lot of
Taste.
people talk about taste in the context of AI slop. Do you think we're going to tend towards relativity where anything goes and I like this, you like that, and taste gets bifurcated and more diffuse? Or do you think over time there will be a genuine demand for, okay, we want stuff like we're going to find meaning in better produced art,
Yeah.
which, because there've been like thousands of artists, only 10 are the people we remember today, right? Perhaps.
No, that's. I think that has a complex layering. For example, there is an element of just like virality. The more of us who like something, more people will like it, right? So this song might deserve $3 million, but it requires certain promotion, certain things to happen to it. So there is some element of what becomes famous, which is not only based on the artwork, right? The most of the artists that we know today, very famous artists, died paupers because their artwork did not become famous during their lifetimes. It became famous later. But your question is valid. The output, that the ability to take a particular output as something that will be meaningful to a larger set of people, and hence as an artist I pick that to showcase, is taste. And we are making a judgment on the taste of more people, right? That this goes above what would be very generic. This goes above what is something which sounds like the inspiration I asked it to take. I want it to be inspired, not copy, right? But by the way, Bappi Lahiri was doing it long time.
Yeah.
And very well, yeah.
Thank you for uh, anchoring a talk on yet another challenging topic. I was here for your last talk
In this, yeah, thank you.
on the Harappa
I
script.
remember, yeah.
Yeah, and also for being able to hold these multiple perspectives, because there's no absolutes and the goalpost is changing every day. So it's very difficult to anchor a room full of opinions on this.
All
I've
good
been,
opinions, yeah.
yes, thank you. I've been using AI. I work with education and designing life skill experience workshops for emotional and social learning for children. And I've been creating my first drafts because it's based on my experience as a teacher. And then I feed it into even Chat GPT, and some of the responses that I get are so brilliant and so wise and so thoughtful that I can just credit the people who have programmed
Yeah.
Chat GPT to take that kind of information and come. It's next level.
No, I totally
Yeah.
agree. In fact, any training material that you want to create, even on corporate, recently we are going to go through an assessment annual appraisal. So, but people are not very familiar with how to write their self appraisal. So, the training material for that, why should you go anywhere else? ChatGPT will give it to you in an LMS format. You put it into your LMS because it has digested every corporate's approach to appraisals. So, it gives you the more, and then if you just take it and put it, that's where I'm saying that you should draw a line. You should make sure that you prompt it with your company's values, your company, what it looks for. You should, then the output comes, you should make sure that your view on what is right and what is wrong is there. Lines will be missing, add the important things. Then you have done justice to ChatGPT and your company. Yeah, so, yeah.
I had a question. This question was from when you played the song that you made. We'll just have to go a little back. Um, so there's this artist on Spotify called Sienna Rose, and millions of people hear her. And she was one of the, I think, top
I
50
think she
viral.
has got so many songs. It's
Yeah,
just
so
impossible.
many songs which are impossible, and then people figure out that it's not a real person, it's AI. And millions of people hear her and that they are being moved by her. So it's not even the question of whether it is generating slop, it's generating really good music. If you hear it, you would not be able to tell if it's being generated by AI, or you'd feel that it's an artist, like a proper artist who's been trained. So we have already, I think, moved past the point of, I'm pretty sure the people who are generating music through that persona of Sienna Rose are some way brilliant prompt engineers
Yeah.
and also artists. We don't know how they are doing it, but we have, I think, already moved beyond that point. I had another comment because I was
No,
raising hand for quite
I'll
some
just
time. Yeah,
respond to
yeah,
that
please.
for sake of at least debate. Is that the fact that so many songs are generated is a wonder, but there is a prompt behind it. That prompt, is it being generated by AI or is it being generated by humans? The feelings behind that prompt, where are they coming from? So those are all the questions, and yeah. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so we don't exactly know how it's being
Exactly.
done
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
My second comment was that mostly we are afraid of human versus AI. Like we think humans are being replaced by AI, but what I feel, and this is coming, I'm a lawyer and not the kind who goes to court. So I'm on the first line to get replaced by AI, let's put it like that. So
Not
it's
at all. I'll give you my opinion later. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Now, giving opinions to
yeah,
lawyers is
yeah.
dangerous, but
so so I feel it's more like humans versus humans who use AI.
yeah.
It's not,
No,
yeah. So
yeah,
when,
Jensen said the same thing
yeah,
about jobs. You will not lose jobs to AI, but you'll lose jobs to somebody who is doing your job with AI.
yeah, exactly. So the authorship of the art, I feel, still remains with the human, not with the AI, and AI is a tool. So someone may have a paintbrush, you have an AI tool. So I feel if you look at it that from that lens, maybe you will be more acceptable to AI art because you still have that human connect.
Yeah. No, I think you said what I've been trying to say also, that it is that human part of it which will make it work. Even if it is a tremble that you have in your hand that causes your brush to shake, that becomes your signature. Yeah.
I just want to go back to that point where we were differentiating based on lived experience, and we said, what if AI has a lived experience? Then we moved to the topic of feeling, where human feeling versus does AI have feeling. Today, there's a lot of talk of defining AI feeling, which might not be the same as human feeling, but it is feeling of its own kind. Interestingly, yesterday, Anthropic CEO in an interview made a very interesting statement. One of the things they've started doing with their model is asking it, are you conscious? With every iteration of the model, are you conscious? And if so, to what percentage? And the latest model says 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting part. That consciousness that the AI model is talking about might not be the same as human consciousness,
And
the
that
way we,
itself has not been defined, right?
it's not defined.
Consciousness is a topic which we can spend one whole debate on.
And I think same
What?
with feeling,
Yeah, same
even
thing with
feeling,
feeling.
right?
Same, and hence the judgment comes in. Hence the subjectivity comes in. When subjectivity is there, human rules. Yeah.
So this is from before on your speech. You mentioned how people need to know the basics of of what they're doing to use tools effectively. So I just wanted to get to know your thoughts about vibe coders.
About
Vibe coders. So they're basically
vibe coders. Okay.
yeah. So the people who know basics but not too much of the topic that they're on, and they usually use tools like Cursor, Gemini, or Claude Code to help them. They're mainly coders. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the best coders, I'll stick to that, are people who know, who have learned the language, right? So we might be able to say I'll do poetry without learning English, right? And you can, by prompting it in, let's say, my mother tongue is Telugu, I'll prompt it in Telugu and it'll give me output which is a poem based on what I've asked. But what do I know about the quality of that output? Is if same thing in code? Is it efficient? Is it the fastest it can be done? Is it going to pass quality checks if it is used in different ways in different domains? So these are the places where I believe, again, I have to state that it is a limited view. Again, based on enough number of years of experience, as you can see, that if you do not know coding, you will not be a great vibe coder either. That's my view. Yeah.
Sir, I would request you to comment on a view I have. Like whenever there is a mass culture, there is always a counter culture which comes in. So in the art form, when AI becomes so prominent, democratized, everyone using AI, my view is probably there is going to be another counter culture where humans will do and then they will call it no AI generated art form. Do you have a view on that, sir?
No, it will happen. It will happen, and there. See, the good thing is there will always be an audience. We today abstract art, like I said, is 100 years old, 115 years old, right? And today it is a revolution saying that non-representative art, right? But even today there is representative art. So there is room for all kinds, and we are so diverse that there will, for good effort, not if you're not making how should I put it, lazy attempt, for a good effort there will always be room, right? So if it is a lazy attempt to get away with not doing work, it will collapse at some point. So there, for I mean, there is all kinds of counterculture, right? So one of the things which I've debated is that if there is a lazy attempt to not to have multiple labels, 150 labels of who I am, it is no label, it is zero label, right? So unless you give it a thought and look at biology and look at everything and say, okay, there are this number of people and this is why it is, it becomes a lazy attempt and it will collapse. It has collapsed.
Yeah. Before
Sorry.
you, yeah, yeah. Before you say Alvida, can you play that song
Okay, thank you for
and
asking.
repeat the prompt you gave?
Yeah. You can give a little more volume.
नापसंद जो मुझे बताई कितना पसंद करती होगी मेरी चिट्ठियां ना जवाब करके कितना वो तरसी होगी पाबंदियां बहुत लगाई उसने फिर भी भुला ना सकी होगी हर दिन नई लगाम भूलने की नई कोशिश होगी मंजिल नई रास्ते नए दोस्त नए महफिल नई नई हंसी नई दूरी मेरा नशा तेरी नहीं होगी रोज मुझे देखना कितना मुश्किल होगी रोज मुझसे बातें करना शायद मजबूरी होगी कह न सकी जो बात कभी खामोशी में कहती होगी हर मुलाकात के बाद कहीं खुद से लड़ती होगी मंजिलें नई रास्ते नए दोस्त नए महफिल नई नई हंसी नई दूरी मेरा नशा उतरी नहीं होगी चलो मैं चलूं वहीं कहीं मिटूंगा नहीं मिलूंगा भी नहीं भूलोगी नहीं याद आऊंगा नहीं अलविदा कहना ना पड़ेगा विदा बस होगी
That was the song. Thank you. I had to wait because the Alvida only came in the end. Yeah, there is emotion, yeah. But there was one final question. Yeah. If you don't mind, as you're headed out, I'll play a song on Bangalore because I have emotion on Bangalore also.
Thank you for saying that you'll play another song because after that this male voice suddenly changes the mood so drastically.
Lovely
So,
voice. Please keep.
just two short questions. One is, what is the ultimate goal of a AI researcher? Where do you see there is some kind of a finish line where we will say, ठीक है यार अभी थोड़ा rest करते हैं, let all enjoy the tech what we have, then come back to it after a while. And the second one is, what is the kind of transparency that we have in the research? Because if you're working on something, we are talking about art and we're talking about law, and there is a lot of things which we are not talking about.
Yeah.
If you could shed some light about which is not talked about. These two things. Thank you.
See, the good thing about research is we will only be able to see 3 years ahead, right? So 5 years ahead becomes fuzzy. Beyond that, it is anybody's guess. So the just like electricity when it was first used, it was because the light bulb was invented, and the electric light bulb. That light bulb was useless unless you get electricity into factories and homes. But since electricity came into the homes, then you have electric stoves or electric washers, electric heating, and factories may everything became electric. Anything moves became electric. So up till now, the cars became electric properly only recently, right? So 100 years of electrification. AI will take at least 50 years of research to get its full value out. So that much runway it has of R&D. So it will not get done as long as it's creating value, and it will not stop creating value for 50 years. That's my view. Your second question was, sorry. See, again, the transparency has improved right now because patents or publications or anything, you go to consensus or any such tool, you will be able to get synthesized information. Gemini is a great tool. I've not shown, nor ChatGPT. We didn't have the time. But the Gemini is a great tool to go and figure out all the work which is happening, which is published, be it patents or be it publication, and it will give you synthesized versions of and the references and so on without any hallucination. But in order to see what is proprietary to a company, that's not possible. So thanks everyone for a wonderful interactive session. So this is a fun song, so I'll leave you with that. You can give volume. This is a So this is my Bangalore. I grew up here. And for everything we say no problem.
पहचान क्या है मेरी पहचान क्या है मेरी पापा का गांव बिजवाड़ा माँ की परवरिश हैदराबाद हम तो बेंगलुरु के बगैर हैं हर मुश्किल को बोलते नो प्रॉब्लम ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಾರೋ ಹೋಗೋ ಹೌದಾ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಬೇಡ ಇಷ್ಟು ಸಾಕು ನಮಗೆ